This is A's Cast Live, your comprehensive look at the Oakland Athletics.
Rooker, it's a fly ball to deep center. Robert going back at the track. He will turn and watch it fly.
And 29 other MLB clubs.
Adolis Garcia swings on the other way. That sends Carroll back. He's at the wall. Ronald Acuna, another milestone in a truly historic season.
Julio with an absolute nuke out to left field.
It's Glaber Day. And like a good Glaber, Torres is there.
Join us as we take you inside the baseball universe. From humidors to Stuff Plus to walk-off dingers, we have you covered. Spend your afternoon with us, only on A's Cast Live. Here's Chris Townsend.
How's everybody doing? How odd was that yesterday to have a day off on a holiday? It was absolutely wonderful. How was your Memorial Day?
That was good. It's weird that, my wife's in Mexico. She's always on vacation. So, always, we're always here grinding while, wives are on vacation. But yeah, it was good. Had a couple people over, made some food. And
What do you mean?
Swam.
Our wives? My wife's never on vacation.
Oh, well, I'm just telling you, I'm not the only guy that has gal that has a husband or wife that's on vacation.
We got kids. We got responsibilities. We're not off in Mexico and always going to Taylor Swift and
that's next week.
Scotland or whatever. No, we have high school graduation going on.
Congratulations, by the way.
It's very interesting how many people have told me congratulations that my kids have graduated from high school. And I kind of sit back and I go, huh, really? Why are you congratulating me?
You're the proud parent. I've never had kids graduate high school yet. So,
I kind of, aren't they supposed to graduate from high school?
But you would think.
Like, isn't that the goal? Isn't that the intended goal, is to graduate from high school?
Yes, because it propels you into your next chapter of your life.
All right. Paul Hembekides. Hembo is going to stop by from ESPN today. Johnny Doskow at 2 o'clock. We're going to have our hot takes. And then Brian Anderson, longtime reliever and now does television for the Rays. He is going to join us at 2:30. Hembo at 1:30, Johnny D at 2, and Brian Anderson at 2:30. It was interesting looking at getting ready for this, how similar the A's and the Rays are. This has not been a good start for the Rays. They're coming off a bad losing streak, got the win on, did they play on Sunday?
Yeah, they were off yesterday too.
Yeah, so they got a win on Sunday to break their losing streak, but they're off to not a great start. So this is going to be a fun little series for the Athletics, and, we're going to get into a lot because Memorial Day is a checkpoint, right? That is the first checkpoint in Major League Baseball. So what I want to do is look at what were the top stories. What were the top things that we were looking for? And let's see kind of how they grade out at the first checkpoint. And definitely the A's being the worst team in baseball is not going to happen for a lot of people. As a lot of people were predicting that the A's would be the worst team in baseball. As you recall, not worthy even to talk about, the A's are 22-33. Not a great record, but far better than last year. Far better. I know the Rays are not happy at 26-28. So this series is an interesting series. Mitch Spence, Zach Littell will be on the mound today, followed by Joey Estes. And then Thursday, we going to get, is it Kyle Muller? We going to get Kyle Muller on the bump, finally, as a starter?
I was going to say, if it's not him, I was thinking it would be Jack O'Loughlin, who we just called up from Australia, the kid from AAA. He could be a guy that maybe starts.
Yeah, he pitched on Sunday, made his debut. Now, I saw something in the notes that I thought, we can sell this all we want, but when Ross Stripling hits the IL on Friday, and we're now going to say, well, look how many of our starters are out. Stripling, Wood, Boyle, Blackburn. Blackburn, yes. Even though Paul Blackburn hadn't been throwing it, he was great to start, hadn't been all that hot lately. Blackburn, yes. But you cannot tell me at all Boyle's a project, and I accept that, right? And I said as the fifth guy in the rotation, I'm absolutely fine with that. Big kid, 6'10", throws hard. Is he 6'10"? No, is he 6'8"?
I think he's 6'8", yeah. I think 6'10's.
I'm thinking of Chris Young or
6'7".
6'7". 6'7", throws hard. He's wild. He's a project. I'm okay with that as your number 5 guy. But he was wild as heck. You can say he's hurt. All right. But you're not missing anything there. You're clearly not missing anything with Ross Stripling, and Alex Wood hasn't been very good either. Marty Lurie, the Bay Area Radio Hall of Famer, said on this show, if you remember from spring training, we had him and Ken Korak, 2 Bay Area Radio Hall of Famers together. And Marty Lurie made a little joke, and he was dead on. Chris, Ross Stripling, Alex Wood, good luck with that this year. I saw it last year. Not good. And we laughed. Guess what? Marty was right, as Marty normally is. So I don't think we're missing Stripling. I don't think we're missing Wood. I don't think we're missing Boyle. You can put it out there to the media. You can put it out in interviews. You can say those types of things. I'm not missing them. I'd rather see Mitch Spence today. I love the dynamic of Spence and Muller in the bullpen at the start of the year. It was great when everybody was healthy and everything went perfectly. But there's a reason why they were in the bullpen, because Muller's out of options and Spence is a Rule 5 guy. They got to be here. Well, if it's time to see how they, as I say all the time, and I know one of the things you mentioned to me, Cody, God bless you.
That was a cough, but thank you.
Bless your cough.
Thank you. I appreciate
Bless
that.
your little heart.
What I mentioned to you?
About Joe Madden, potentially having Joe Madden on, former Rays coach, former Cubs coach, manager, longtime coach for the Angels, also manager for the Angels. But the one thing is winning now and building for the future at the same time. Huge. We're going to hear from Joe Madden today, though, right? You got that clip from MLB Now today?
The one about coaches?
Cup of Joe?
About coaches, yeah.
Yes. And that's what I love about I am 100% on board with starting Mitch Spence. I'm 100% Kyle Muller. These guys are the future. My future is not Ross Stripling. My future is not Alex Wood. I don't even know, what the total thought process was. There's a lot of politics. There's a lot of business. There's a lot of things, with the A's not spending a ton of money, got to spend some money. Major League Baseball, the other owner, give some money to some guys. But I don't even know really what the thought process was. I know that Mark Kotze had talked to us privately and on air about wanting some veteran starters because of what he dealt with last year. But these guys have not been great, and now they can't go. I'd rather see Mitch Spence. I'd rather see Kyle Muller. I'd rather see Joey Estes. I rather try and win with them now and build for the future. Luis Medina, when he's ready to come off the 60-day IL, I want him back in the rotation. When he's ready to go, I want to see him go every 5 days. Led by J.P. Sears. And that's that building, winning now, trying to win now while building for the future will only make you better long term. Because you're not winning with those guys. Are you a better team with those guys? Haven't seen it. And they are not coming off great years. There's a reason why they were available from San Francisco. And you can blame Gabe Kapler, you can blame Farhan. You can blame all of that. But the reality is they didn't throw the ball well last year, and they both got to the bullpen. Well, this year, go ahead, counselor. Do you want to
No, I have
dispute what I'm saying?
No, Ross was 1-9. I know people said we'll take out the starts against the Texas teams. No, he's still 1-9.
Look at the ERA.
Yeah, the ERA is over 5. It doesn't matter about who he pitched against. His ERA is still over 5. He just wasn't a good start for him. Alex Wood, same thing. Joe Boyle couldn't find the strike zone. Like, we knew about that for a while, but it just progressively seemed like it got worse from spring training on to the regular season. So I want to see. I'm with you. I want to see some of these guys like Spence, like Mahler, Jack O'Loughlin. He's a guy I like to see. We had 3 scoreless innings in his debut against the Astros the other day.
That excites me, right? Let's see these guys.
Is there anyone else in the minors we're forgetting? That
Pitching-wise?
Joey Estes is another guy. Like, want to see more of him. There's guys down there like Cusick and stuff that are coming eventually that we'll hopefully get to see.
JT Ginn.
What I mean, Gunnar Hoagland.
Let's go. Let's see those guys. That's the future, and try and win with them now. The move that we knew was coming, we talked to you about it last week. We said he was going to be reinstated. Aledmys Díaz has been reinstated. So there now is somebody on the roster other than Max Schumann that can play short.
Yes.
Good news. I like how Schu's made a little too many defensive mishaps. But for the most part, for a guy that was never expected to be a full-time player, he is filled in nice as a full-time shortstop. Schumann has impressed at times and is hit.
I would say he's hit. I mean, what is he? He's sitting 250. Is it 258 or? I know he had a couple errors on Sunday, but he's been hitting. He's been giving them. He's had to play every day, so because there's no one on the roster. So having Aledmys back, I'm not going to get into the veteran leader part of it, but having him back to be a guy that could spell some time off for Max from playing every day is a nice thing. And then I think Luis Medina was eligible to come off the 60-day, but I think he's going to make another start in AAA. I don't know for sure, but I think today he was eligible to come off as well because him and Aledmys.
Is it today?
Yeah, it was supposed to be today. I thought. It was the 28th. I think it was the day they're supposed to be eligible to come off.
So let's call what it is with Max Schumann. You're totally underselling him.
So he's hitting over 258?
He's hit 300 in May.
Oh, May, yeah.
He's been playing every day in May. He's hitting 300. If that's not impressive, you're going to take a guy out of the lineup who's hitting 300 for the entire month?
No, you can't now. He's going to need day. Everyone needs a day off. Well, no, that's not true. Not every guy does anything. Marcus Semien plays every game. Matt Olson plays every. There's guys that play almost every game.
Oh yeah, and an 823 OPS.
Yeah.
You want to undersell him again as he's hitting 250. He has gotten full-time play in May. He's hitting 300 with an 823 OPS. Has there been some defensive miscues? There's been defensive miscues all season long. Max Schumann has been a great story for the Athletics and needs to play every day. As in Abraham Toro's been killing it this month. Hitting 302 with a 782 OPS. He scored 17 runs in 24 games this month, 32 hits in May, tied for the second most in the American League. So there are some good stories going on with the A's as we head into this set with the Tampa Bay Rays. Yeah, but when I say that, I think that probably shocks a lot of people. And I know I've done that in postgame. Probably shocks a lot of people how well Max Schumann has hit. Because when you hit down in the order, you don't think about 300 with an 823 OPS for the month, and you're playing every single day. You look at the amount of at-bats that he's getting. Since May 3rd, you just look. There's a lot of games where he's gotten 4, he's gotten 5. He's played every single game this month and hit 300. Can you say Nick Allen ever came close to that? No. Can you say that Hernandez ever came close to that? No. When's the last A's shortstop to do that?
Probably have to go back to Marcus.
Yeah, right now, I wouldn't even know why or who you would call up. Is Wilson still on the IL in AAA?
From last I heard, I think he still is. I
don't know why you would call any. Max Schumann should be. He has earned the right to play every single day.
No, I didn't realize you said. I knew on the season he sent like 258, but in the month of May he's been great. I didn't know it was 300 great, but that's very solid
for the A's. Somebody hitting 300.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Abraham Toro was close for a while.
I mean,
for the season. He's doing well in May, too.
I mean, to hit 300, Max Schumann, when he got called up, it was like, oh, he can play everywhere. Bobby Crosby's selling to us every position. He's great. Well, now he's playing shortstop every day. He has been an unbelievable story. So Medina could come off the IL today.
That's what I thought it was, because I think him and Aledmys are both put on the 60-day injured list at the same time. So I thought it was today he could come back, but I think he's. Let me see what the Aviators who they have going. If they know who they're starting.
Because I miss seeing Medina and 100-mile-an-hour fastball and that stuff.
Medina's pitching tonight in Vegas.
How much has he pitched?
Go
look at his numbers. Don't like the ERA, but
yeah, no. And so far in Vegas, it looks like he's made 2. This will be his third start.
So it's going to be a while.
He's only pitched in 4 1/3.
It's going to be a while. But at least Aledmys Díaz, you got to get. Aledmys played 10 games. He was 4 at DH, 4 at third, and then 1 at short and 1 at second. Played in 10 games. And by the way, Tyler Nevin DFA'd, designated for assignment. You knew at some point. I mean, there was a point where Tyler Nevin played a very crucial role and hit a lot. I mean, at one point he got his average up over to like 320.
Yeah, it was like 325 or 3.
And then it just nosedive. And I remember we had him on and said, is this the time where you're going to say right place, right time? And it felt like that. And then unfortunately for that, because you root for these guys, right? You root for these guys that were high draft picks. They've bounced around a little bit, but they're at that age, 26, 27. Is this finally where I find a home? And it finally all clicks. And now my career really gets going. And you hope for that. The odds are it's not going to happen.
Yeah. So we'll see if he.
It didn't.
We'll see if he ends up clearing waivers.
And he needed to go. Because now it's like day after day, it's like when he was in there, you're asking why. I mean, he was so bad for so long. I don't even want to look at his numbers, but the last time I looked at his numbers, Tyler Nevin was hitting in the month of May like .063. I think it was 63.
Well, you don't want to look, but I was already in process of pulling it up.
.063 for the month.
He finished the month of May, 3 for 47, so it's .064.
I'm one off. I apologize, A's fans. I'm one off. Yeah, you're hitting 64. It's time to go. It's time to go. Now, there's a good chance he ends up in AAA. Jordan Diaz, by the way, is back with the Aviators, correct?
I think he cleared. Yeah, it's all he cleared waivers.
So you had 29 teams had their chance to take this guy that everybody talks about. Oh,
outright of the AAA. Yeah.
What does that tell you?
He's only 23.
29 teams have the ability to boop, and they went, eh.
There was a guy DFA'd the other day by an organization. Victor Robles was DFA'd by the Nationals, the last remaining position player, I'm pretty sure, that was on that World Series.
The last?
Team. That was on the World Series team in 2019. That first thing I thought, I'm like, sounds like an A already. But his number, I went and looked at his numbers. They are really bad. So I don't think he'll be an A.
How long are we on till today?
3.
We're on till 3?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I really want to get into, there was a lot of hot stories at the start of the season. And I really want to go over where we are with that. But you know what? I'll save that for later in the show. One thing I did want to talk about today is the biggest story in baseball. Ronald Acuna Jr. out again with a knee injury. The Atlanta Braves, I mean, it's devastating. It's absolutely devastating. The hot take, well, we will do our hot takes, but the hot take obviously is, oh my God, the Philadelphia Phillies, they're going to run away with it now. It's one player. They won the World Series last time without Ronald Acuna Jr. He got hurt. They basically remade their outfield. If you remember, Jorge Soler was the World Series MVP. So they've won without him, and they've had to win without him because you know what? He hasn't played as much as people think. But it's devastating. He wasn't having a great year, but this was a guy that had one of the greatest years in the history of baseball last year. And it's the thing, it sucks. Injuries suck. And when you saw that news that Ronald Acuna Jr., the reigning National League MVP, after last year stealing 73 bases and having 41 home runs, 73 stolen bases, driving in 106, and having a 1,012 OPS for the season, is out for the year, that's tough. That's it. You just can't replace that.
I think it just came out too that unlike last time, where's it at? Atlanta's Ronald Acuna Jr. replacement will be internal for now. That's according to MLB Network, so they won't go out and trade for an outfielder.
Well, you got a long time. I mean, you got all of June, you got all of July before you really have to start looking at, do we need to make changes? Who's going to be available? Do you want to give up too much right now for somebody? Try and weather the storm. If you start looking at the standings, you're like, well, I mean, Philly's not going to stay this hot. Philly's off to a historic start.
No, they're coming back down to earth a little bit the last couple of games.
Philly's off to a historic story. At one point, they were on pace for 118 wins.
Yes.
So they'll come back. You're only 6 games back if you're Atlanta. If you can fill this internally and stay in this thing, because once again, I mean, like, reality is you've been the Braves, you win the division, and you get knocked out. How about the Braves reversing the role? Let Philly win the division, then you come in the wild card and knock their ass out. A little reversal here. That would be interesting.
It seems tough for them though, with like Acuna and Spencer Strider being down. They did get Sean Murphy back. Murph, who played on opening day, got hurt, came back yesterday.
Does anybody remember? I mean, Big Murph's been out for a while. Like, hasn't really been talked about.
Yeah, he played 1 game before he came back yesterday.
Hasn't been talked. Well, that's the whole thing about Acuna, because I asked you today. I asked him, I said, how many times do you think Acuna has played over 120 games? You said 3 times. He's only played 7 years. Young player in his prime. You said 3 times. It's 2.
One of them was last year.
Right? Now, 1 year he played 119. But he's only twice. He's had 2 years where he's really played a full season. 2019 at 156 games. Last year at 159 games. Obviously, the COVID year doesn't count. But in 6 years, take the COVID year out, 6 years, he's played a full season twice. It makes his contract really interesting, because when he signed his contract, $100 million contract, everybody's like, whoa, 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 you can sign for way more. You can sign for way more.
He signed it 5 years ago. I think it was 2019. So, yeah. And we were talking about that then.
And you look at it and you go, well, this is why when someone offers you a crazy amount of money, that's life-changing money, it's why you take it, right? Like the A's, if there truly was the formal offer, Scott Boras for Matt Chapman, $150 million, and you turn that down, we'll get into that in our Memorial checkpoint. One of the things we'll check in is on the Boras 4 that we had to talk about ad nauseum last year. The Boras 4, Matt Chapman, Cody Bellinger, Blake Snell, Jordan Montgomery. They were all going to get paid. We're in Nashville at the winter meetings. They're going to get paid. They're all sitting back patiently. And in the end, they all did not. They got rewarded handsomely compared to a lot of people. But what their expectations were, they were failures. We'll check in on how they're doing. So we'll do our Memorial Day checkpoint. But for Ronald Acuna Jr., he's making $17 million this year. Rumblings that he wasn't happy with the contract now that he signed, especially after last year, historic year. Things change really fast. So now a second total reconstruction of the ACL, which we know takes a long, we are smarter now than ever, and we are really into, let's get these guys back healthy and do it the right way. We were such on a sprint back in the day. Like, how fast can we get guys back onto the field? Remember when Rod Woodson wanted to be so fast coming back from an ACL? It's like, now we realize, let's slow it down. You have Tommy John surgery, even if you get the bracket, it's 14 months. We're not going to try and get you back before a year. You have total reconstructive surgery of the knee. We're going to let it heal. We're going to have the surgery, going to do the rehab. Time is your friend. I know you want to get back out there. I know you want to be able to say, normally recovery is X. I came back Y. Not smart. Let's take the time, get you back, make sure you're good. So that means next year, that's $17 million. He won't play a full. I would. He hasn't had the surgery yet, right? Swelling has to go down.
Yeah.
He hasn't had the surgery yet. I don't know when the surgery is going to happen, but the odds are he won't have a full season again next year. So you're looking at he will be 8 years in, got to take the COVID year out. 7 years, he will have only played 2 full years. And now he's basically been robbed by a couple of years of his prime. Is this contract all really that bad now that you look at it? His lack of playing time and the fact that he's going to be paid over $100 million.
I think that when the Braves signed the deal, they got it was a steal for them. Obviously, it was a very team-friendly contract. And obviously, you're right. Everyone complained. It was him and Albies. Even Albies' contract back then was.
Albies is only like $32 million. This is $100 million.
Yeah, it was. It's
$100 million.
Yeah, $100 million over 8 years
for a guy that done what?
Yeah, well, until last year he didn't really do anything.
I mean, really. So they said, "Hey, listen, we know you're gifted. We know you got some extreme talent." They gave him let's see. He shows up at 26 bombs, 64 RBIs. You're like, wow, this guy's hell on wheels. Second year, 41 home runs, 101 RBIs, COVID hits, then knee injury. They gave you $100 million. It looked like he was going to be all world, but S-bomb happens in life. So really, in the end, how do you view the contract now? That the Braves made the commitment, and here they are for another World Series run, and he's nowhere to be found. They've already won a World Series without him. And if they win a World Series again this year, they're one of the favorites still. Going to be hard without Strider, as you mentioned. But it'll be without him. I mean, he got paid. He got the financial security, not knowing. That's the thing. You don't know. The deal's kind of worked out both ways. You didn't overpay for a guy. You're comfortable with the money. If he got hurt, sucks. But you're not gripping it. You're paying him $17 million. It's a lot of money, but it's not crazy money. And for him, you didn't get the crazy money that you would have liked, but you got the ultimate financial security, and you haven't been able to stay healthy. I mean, it is actually one of these contracts that's really kind of been a win-win for both.
I agree with that for sure. I mean, he's only making $17 million this year. He's going to be out this year, and he's not going to play full season next year. I looked; he has not had the surgery yet. It was 2 days ago he had the MRI. So you're right. You have to wait for the swelling to go down. Then who knows? I mean, they've had some guys step up for them. Michael Harris is having a down year, but Chris Sale has been a revelation for them. Like a guy they brought in, but they need replacing what you got from Acuna last year. It's going to be really hard to find. But as of right now, they're saying they're not going to trade for anyone. But I mean, Anthopoulos has 2 months to figure out if he wants to trade for somebody.
Did you mention Michael Harris?
I did, yes.
I am not a bandana guy. I don't really have a bandana head. But yesterday in his press conference after the game, his bandana game was unbelievably strong. Now you think if you're an Atlanta Brave, you're playing in Georgia. He had the bandana that has the outline of the state of Georgia with the Georgia Bulldog G that they put on the side of their helmets. I'm like, that is slick. Did you see that in the post game yesterday?
No, but you were explaining it to me. The coolest, that sounds cool. The one I really liked this year, there was a bandana. Patrick Bailey, the Giants catcher, had one on, and it was Washington crossing the Delaware.
Really?
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
But to have the guy who plays for the Atlanta Braves repping the Georgia Bulldogs, where everybody in the state loves the Georgia Bulldogs, and it was a sweet bandana. Looked great on him. Hembo, I think Hembo and I don't think it looks good on us. I'm just saying. Hembo, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think you're a bandana guy either.
Not a bandana guy. And while Michael Harris's bandana game is strong, as you said. His slash line game is not quite as strong as his bandana game at this juncture of the season. And the same can be said about many of his Braves teammates who I would argue are having about as slow a start to the season collectively as any group, at least of that stature across baseball. And coming into the season, I thought that's easy, a 100-win team who's going to score 900 runs. But say it ain't so. They've not hit collectively the way that they did last year. And look, Michael Harris has gotten progressively worse in each season of his career.
Well, as a Phillies guy, our fighting Phils, when you talk about strong game, the powder, when you bring back my Mike Schmidt, Larry Boa, Pete Rose, 1980 powder blues, I get excited. I feel like a kid again. But as a Phillies guy, I find it interesting. Here the Phillies are off to, I mean, at one point, you guys were on pace for 118 wins. Long way to go. But it could be like a role reversal. Here you could have the Phillies boat race to the division and have the Braves come in as a wild card. That will be interesting. But the dynamic of Strider being out now with Acuna, how do you see it from the Phillies side?
This is now definitely the Phillies division to lose. I did not feel that way a week ago, despite how fast this team started. But at ESPN Bet, our new sports book, Atlanta's odds to win the NL East went from minus 110 to plus 145 with the Acuna injury. So what that tells me is that that's obviously going to pretty substantially impact their outlook this season. It goes without saying. That being said, I agree entirely with what Cody said before you guys put me on. Alex Anthopoulos is as good at that job as literally anyone and everyone on the planet. And we just saw him do it 3 years ago. Like we saw the thing that happened. We saw the best player on the team go down with an ACL. And we saw him add Jorge Soler, who won the World Series MVP. Eddie Rosario, who won MVP of the NLCS. They also added Jacques Peterson and Adam Duvall that season during the season. And I think you'll probably see him do something fairly similar. I'm not sure you'll see like a brand name type, like a Luis Robert or Mike Trout or someone like that traded to Atlanta. But look, they'll patch things together and be just fine. The infrastructure that Atlanta has is such that they're still going to breeze to a playoff spot, in my opinion, at least in part because I think their pitching right now is better than certainly I expected. Chris Sale throwing the ever-living crap out of the ball. Charlie Morton, aside from his start yesterday, has generally speaking been pretty reliable. We've seen Max Fried throw 2 shutouts. Reynaldo Lopez has figured himself out as a starter, kind of reducing his velocity. That team's still really good and is going to hit, but I think you're 100% right in saying that this is now the Phillies division to lose.
The great Hembo from ESPN is with us here on A's Cast Live. Before we get back into baseball, you mentioned ESPN bets. You know, it is amazing how our sport, we've had bobblehead dolls, we've got Beanie Babies, we've got all these different, it's Hat Day, it's Bat Day, we've got firework nights. Ooh, we now got drones, we got all this kind of stuff. And that's all been great. But where we are in 2024 with baseball, we know where it is in football and what it's meant for football, whether it was legal gambling, illegal gambling, fantasy, office pools. Gambling's always been huge for professional football and college football. Now, how is it changing? How should we be looking at ESPN bets? How should we be looking at baseball from a gambling standpoint when baseball's always been freaked out about gambling?
It's a fascinating question. We've gone a really, really long way in a very short period of time. I'm old enough to remember a time when anything adjacent to betting on baseball was like the plague, right? Like that's, the reason I'm old enough to remember that is because I'm more than 5 years old. Well, the almighty dollar has taken over. And what the league has realized, what teams have realized, what players have realized is that there is an enormous amount of money to be made in this space. Now, I can say personally, like as a consumer of the sport and as someone who enjoys casually betting small quantities on the sport, I much prefer playing like the totals, the futures, things like that. I do have a lot of people in my life, as you might imagine, who dive into the minutia on a day-to-day basis, and that's kind of the beauty of it all, is that it makes the world go round. It makes consuming the product so much more appetizing for the casual fan. But of course, my earnest hope is that we never encounter anything approximating what the NBA did with Jonte Porter. For those unfamiliar with that story, literally a player on the Toronto Raptors was like pocketing like thousands of dollars by failing to meet his individual prop bets. And the reason that we caught him, or the feds caught him, was because it's super irregular for a player of his stature to have so much money coming in on him, right? That's what they encountered. But the fact that it's so publicly available now, and the fact that it did happen in the NBA, has to terrify Rob Manfred and everyone associated with Major League Baseball, because all it takes is one bad actor. All it takes is one person with an addictive personality, with a proclivity to want to circumvent the rules. Sure, these players are making a lot of money, but when it comes to addiction, as you well know, it's a rush. It's not the amount of money that you may or may not be earning or not. Like, mercifully, it looks like Ohtani has escaped at least the worst of what happened to him, as the story has been told to us with his interpreter. But I am sort of proceeding a lot more cautiously than you might say the average commentator, because I think there's sort of a dark side to this stuff and an inevitable side to this stuff where we're just going to have to deal with every, I don't know, few seasons, something like this being brought to the surface, and then we're going to ask ourselves, is it all really worth it? And in the end, the answer is going to be yes, of course, because Major League Baseball is racking up all the big bucks.
Yes. Yeah. Well, yeah. Once David Fletcher, hey, Ohtani's best friend in the clubhouse is betting with the same bookie that his best friend, the interpreter's betting. Okay. All right. All right. You got a new crush?
Well, look. You're a sportscaster. You're not a dot connector. Don't be ridiculous with these, these aspersions that you're casting.
But they're saying they're right. No, you know what they did? They got the interpreter to own up to it, take it, and who knows if he's being paid off in the end.
By the way,
he's not their target anyway. They want the bookie. They don't want the interpreter.
Sure. Or the superstar baseball player. As an aside, like, how much money, like, would you be willing to, I guess, pocket to go to jail for a friend? Like, how do you have a friend in your life that you would fall for as hard as Ippei has fallen for Shohei, if you're one that is cynical? Because the only person in the world I think I'd go to jail for is my wife or children. There is certainly not a friend in my life for whom I'd be willing to be the fall guy to that extent. Now, obviously, I'm being cynical here. I don't think Ohtani has actually done many of the things that we feared he did. But look, I mean, you got to be pretty tight with your boy to go down for that.
I mean, you're losing your freedom.
You're losing your freedom.
You're losing your freedom. You're going to jail. You're not
for years. For years.
It depends what jail. If I'm going to the Club Med jail, the white collar crime jail, I might do that for a lot of money. But if I'm going to like hardcore pokey, not a chance. Not a chance.
Sending you to Leavenworth. All right, I'm going to hard pass on that one.
I'm going to like that because you've heard about some of the white collar jails where
you're
waking up, you're having coffee, you're reading the paper.
Not exactly Guantanamo.
Yeah. All right, you got a new crush in baseball?
I do. His name is Mason Wynn, the shortstop of the St. Louis Cardinals. I love his game. I love anyone that can just hum it 95 across the diamond, which he can. Love any rookie that can put together a 14-game hit streak, which is what he's on right now. I actually think he's one of the most important players to filter through that organization in a really, really long time. You know, the Cardinal way. Well, you know how many postseason series they've won in the last 8 years? Okay, the answer to that question is 1. All right, I'll spare you the time to look that up. The Cardinal way, the Cardinal way is such that they should be able to obviously have a long, prolonged period of sustainability, given all the fans that they have that pack that stadium, given the infrastructure they have in place over decades of high-level winning there. But they've not enjoyed that recently. And I dug into the numbers as to why that's been the case. And the reason why I believe Mason Wynn is so incredibly important as to what they are doing, it's because they can't draft at all. I went back and looked over the last 8 drafts that John Mozeliak has had, noted famed executive. And the player that they've drafted that has produced the most value for the organization is Lars Nootbaar at 6.8 wins above replacement. They haven't had a single pitcher over that time to produce literally 2 WAR. Now, the standings don't really care where you get your players or how you get your players. But over the course of time, as the fact that they've had so little postseason success might indicate over the better part of the last decade, it's really hard to build a sustainable winner if you're doing it all out of house, if you're farming out all of your products, if you're getting it all from Japan, right? If you're getting it all from China, if you're getting it all from Taiwan, at some point, you might need to draft and develop someone in the amateur draft, in the Rule 4 draft. They're not doing that at all, like not at all successfully. It's so incredibly instructive in Mason Wynn's case, because he's making $600,000 this year. Right now, he has 2 WAR playing shortstop for a team that has playoff aspirations. Okay, that's a player that they've not found in a really long time. They used to be good at it. Matt Carpenter, Lance Lynn, Jack Flaherty. Like, there's a fairly long list of players early in his tenure, or at least earlier in his tenure, that wound up really hitting for the organization, either pitchers or hitters that click, that hit, right, that were successful. They've not had almost any of that, and it's a big reason why they have fallen behind. So sure, if they're going to give you Nolan Arenado, take him. They're going to give you Paul Goldschmidt, take him. But I think a lot of those findings, if you will, a lot of those transactions have covered up for the fact that their farm system just stinks, and their draft and development pipeline is about as unsuccessful as any team in the National League.
When you're an accomplished author like yourself and you've done a lot of studying of the history of this sport, and I know I got a guy to my right, he's the biggest A-Rod, Nomar, Jeter honk. Is this the greatest era of shortstops we've ever seen in baseball history?
I think the answer to that question is TBD, because we don't know what the trajectory is going to be. But the talent is definitely there. In fact, earlier this week, I think it was Monday afternoon on Greeny's show on ESPN Radio, I put together my list of the 5 most exciting young players in baseball. And just coincidentally, 4 of the top 5 were shortstops. Wow. Number 5, I had O'Neal Cruz, the 25-year-old shortstop of the Pittsburgh Pirates, who hits the bleep out of the ball and throws the bleep out of the ball. Number 4, I had Gunnar Henderson, the shortstop of the Baltimore Orioles, who was 21, I believe, who's on pace to hit more than 50 homers while playing plus defense at shortstop, by the way, in the same occupancy where Cal Ripken Jr. once did. So he definitely reminds you a little bit of Cal just because of the body type, because of the skill set. And number 3, I had Paul Skeens, who obviously throws a billion and is probably the most, magnetic young pitcher in the game for that very reason. He could just light up a radar guard. He has 8 strikeouts this year of 100 plus, which is twice as many as any starter across baseball. Number 2, I had Bobby Witt Jr., who's on pace to put up ridiculous numbers this season at shortstop. One of the best power speed combos that we have in baseball, playing plus defense at the position, just signed the 9-figure contract. He's sort of ushering in, at least in theory, a new era of Royals baseball, one in which they're 14 games above 500, at least 1 year ahead of schedule. And number 1 for me is Elly De La Cruz, who's on pace to steal 90 bases. And by the way, he's slugging .450. Like, he became the 3rd player since 1900, if I have my numbers right, with 20 extra base hits and 30 steals in his first 50 games in the season. All right, that might sound like a convoluted stat, but when the only other people to do something are Ty Cobb and Ricky Henderson, it's a pretty good list to be on. That's the list that he's on. So, look, obviously we've seen Carlos Correa and we've seen Francisco Lindor and we've seen Corey Seager kind of graduate from being, the young phenoms to being who they are now. But the truth of the matter is the best athletes on the field now in this sport are playing shortstop. And right now, some of the most exciting young players are at that position, and I'm here for it.
Yeah, I love it, because when you looked at like the top 10 guys watching MLB now and you look at who they had before the start of the year in the shredder and you look who the top 10 are now, you're like, my God, there's that many good young shortstops. And the guys that were on the list at the start of the year, maybe not having a great year, but they're still really good players, right? So it's like the sport has an abundance of shortstops right now. It's unbelievable. Coming up in a little bit, Memorial Day is the first checkpoint. So I wanted to look back at stories at the start of the year and see how they've aged so far. One that I'm going to rip everybody is we had so many people say the A's were not even worthy to talk about. They said, we're going to be so bad, they wouldn't even talk about. You can go to all the different previews. They only wanted to talk ballpark, where the A's going to play after that. And obviously the A's have been better this year. We're not by far not the worst team in baseball. I think like Juan Soto's been interesting. Towny Glasnow have been interesting. The Boris Big Four have been, everybody thought they were going to get big money. So what would be the big story for you in the offseason leading into this season? And we look at the first checkpoint, how it's aging so far, Memorial Day.
Sure. Well, I'll answer that question, but to answer your first one about the A's, the reason that people were saying those things is because the national commentary is stupid. The A's were always destined to be better than the worst team in baseball by a lot. If they played the White Sox 100 times, they would win 97 of those games. I looked it up. By the way, just as an aside, as to why the A's have been more successful than expected, I'm going to read for you the top of the leaderboard for the highest home run differential. How many homers you hit, how many your opponent have, and you're just going to subtract the two. Number 1 is the Yankees. They're really good. Number 2 is the Orioles. They're really good. Number 3 is the Phillies. They're really good. Number 4 is the A's. The A's have out-homered their opponent to date this season by 16. So, look, they know at least to some extent what you guys are doing from a team-building perspective, what wins in the modern game, and the fact that that was the national conversation, that they were going to lose 120 games. They're bad for baseball. Nothing's worse. Nothing's worse than is such and such good for baseball. Is such and such bad for baseball. That's a really good way to find out who doesn't know about baseball. Because if that's the very best you can do, that's the very best that you can do. You don't actually know if something is good or bad for baseball because you've probably not watched a lot of baseball in your life. Anyway, what was your question?
I mean, right there was amazing.
Oh, you asked for storylines.
I'm so glad you said that because, we're representing the A's, right? We go to Nashville for the winter meetings and we have and you're just looking at all these people going, you come off as all these know-it-alls, national, and it doesn't matter who you work for. And the simpletons, as I like to call them, they believe all this crap. And then they come back at us, look at, you guys are just homers. Like, no, we know baseball. And we were no way we were going to be as bad as last year.
Yeah.
And these guys are just lazy this offseason, and they really just don't know.
Yeah, that's really good because if you know anything about baseball, you know that Brett Rooker's a really good hitter. You know that J.J. Bleday has a beautiful swing. You know that Shea Langoliers has big-time power for a catcher. And if you've watched an inning of baseball this year, you know that Mason Miller is an absolutely ascendant star at the position in which he plays. Like, I understand that from look, I'm just soapboxing right now, so please allow me to filibuster and cut my mic whenever the moment is appropriate, Your Honor. But like from a national perspective, it is challenging when 30 teams are playing 162 games. But it is also our obligation and our responsibility to at least have a cursory understanding of who's doing what, of who's good, who's bad, and who's somewhere in between. And if you don't have any knowledge of all 30 teams, and if you have no knowledge of the A's aside from the fact that all the stadium stuff is in the mix and the payroll stuff is part of the conversation, then you actually haven't peeled one layer of the onion. And if you've not peeled one layer of the onion, why is anyone in this country bothering to listen to what you have to say about baseball? What I always like people ask me, like, whose opinion I value about X, Y, or Z sport. Like, who's actually an expert and who's just faking it? Who's just reciting the lines? Well, you can actually figure that out pretty quickly for yourself. If someone has prepared content, if they're asked one question and then they basically say what they just said and beat around the bush, they probably don't know what they're talking about. And so I'm rooting for your club like I always do because I like you guys. And generally speaking, I think you actually do have a really exciting and bright future. You're not going to finish with the worst record, nor were you ever going to. And like I said, anyone that bothered to look at up and down your roster before the season began and read like a single article about what you guys had going would have known that 2 months ago.
By the way, I know you got to go. Now that you have twin daughters and you have another one on the way, correct?
That's correct.
My kids are graduating from high school tomorrow.
Oh, what a day. What a blessed day.
We had the big party on Sunday. Everybody showed up. Cody brought a great gift. They were very excited. Yeah, my twins are graduating.
So I don't want to prolong our in-depth discussion to me destroying the national media as a national media member. But if you don't mind, real quickly, in 60 seconds, I need you to tell me 17, 18, 19 years from now, because I'm going to walk right in your footsteps on that beach. What is my life going to look like, and what is it going to feel like?
I think it feels great because I look at it as the evolution of life. I'm around a bunch of these moms who are like so sad, and I'm like, "What do you want your kids to live at your house forever?" It's time for the caterpillar to turn into the butterfly. Both my kids got into Cal, for God's sakes. I'm excited to see what their future is. I'm excited. They're both going to go to business school. I'm excited to see what my kids come. I don't want to see him hanging out of my house for the rest of my life. And then now, once baseball season ends, I'm looking at the wife. We got places to go, things to do now. We're empty nesters. So you know what? The cycle of life is not having your kids at home forever. They got to go grow and become people and become adults. I'm excited to see them. We've trained them. Let's see what they go out and do. And now it's another part of our lives to actually be able to experience stuff that we haven't been able to experience because of the family. So I think it'll be an interesting. Right now, you're in the growth. But at some point, you will get. I mean, the next kids I'm dealing with are grandkids.
All right. I every word you said, retweet, co-sign. I look forward to seeing your daughters soon be able to hit big league pitching because they ain't in the minors anymore, my friend.
No. It's time. It's time. And by the way, there's a lot of sliders and sweepers these days.
A lot of sweepers, splinkers.
Splinkers. You are the best. Anything to promote, anything to sell.
No, and every time I come on your show does not have to be a 20-minute infomercial about my products. So I will leave that for another time. It's always good to chop it up with you. Baseball is my favorite sport. Talking baseball is my favorite hobby, and I enjoy talking baseball on your show as much as I do anywhere on the planet.
It's the only place we're going to talk Juan Samuel and Von Hayes and all the great Phillies, baby.
Yeah, don't forget about LeBron James.
Are we talking Cowboys? Are the Cowboys winning the Super Bowl this year? Is that what's
Could LeBron play tight end for the Cowboys? The answer, next.
All right, hey, enjoy this Philly season. We'll check in soon, my friend.
You're a good man.
The great Paul Hembekides, better known as Hembo. Get Up the morning show on ESPN. They got the radio show on ESPN Radio. He's an author. We'll put the book up, best-selling book about numbers. Him and Mike Greenberg.
They have another book out now, too, that we need to get.
Yeah. Hembo. Well said. I almost cut that up for the third inning. Lazy-ass media, lazy-ass local media, all the garbage that we have heard. You know what? Keep winning. Keep winning. Keep building. Because what happens is the young guys start getting better, and the next thing you know, the future. We don't control where teams play. We don't control that aspect of it. We just don't. We're going to follow the team. And it was a lazy-ass narrative that we got this whole entire offseason.
I mean, we still get it. There's still people writing about when they check in, hey, let's check in on all 30 teams. And they'll still say, well, the A's are playing in Sacramento next year. That's all they have to worry about. Thanks. I really appreciate that analysis that you're giving us. But Hembo's right. There's plenty to talk about with the team. There's a lot of exciting young players. There's a lot of. Brent Rooker's on a great run. I still think Brent Rooker could win the home run derby. That'd be great. Oh my God, that'd be great if he was an and won it. Not just for me selfishly, but just the national perspective.
We will never hear the end of it if he I mean, it'll be one of the greatest hot takes in the history of hot takes. I mean, it was so that when we're on the field, right?
Yeah.
So we do hot takes on Tuesday. I came up with this idea. Let's do some hot takes, right? And a lot of them won't. Hot takes, the majority of them, they don't hit. They don't. But when they do, it's awesome. You came up with the most out of left field, and I remember when you did it was like, wait, what? Brent Rooker will not only be in the home run derby, he will win the home run derby. I mean, that is round after round after. I mean, first of all, I wouldn't even think. Not even think about that. It's May. I'm not even thinking about the home run derby. But then think of the round after round. I was like, that was impressive.
For the life of me, I'm forgetting which ones we did last week. Johnny did. Gallen would win the Cy Young, the National League still.
I buried somebody. I buried the Rangers.
Oh, you buried the Astros. You buried the Astros.
If I buried the Rangers, I want to bury the Rangers too.
Oh, you want to bury? Oh, wow. Going against Boch.
Yeah, I want to bury the Rangers. I'm not going to do it this week, but I want to bury the Rangers and say this will be Bochy's last year.
Oh, wow.
Finally going to hang him up. Oh, he's a baseball.
Oh, Edwin Diaz will not record a save the rest of the season. Hey, he came in to try to get a save the other day against the Giants. How'd that turn out?
What was mine?
Astros will not make the postseason.
Yeah, that's. My Mariners came up big yesterday for me on that one. Every single time the Astros lose, I'm one step closer to that hot take being right.
You know the Mariners won 12 of 17 versus the Astros? That's incredible.
I mean, I don't like the Mariners either, but it's at a point that whoever plays the Astros, I'm a fan of them.
That's just the ultimate hater and troll, but I get
totally,
it.
right? Like, I can't stand the Mariners. But if the Mariners are playing the Astros, give me that stupid Moose, Pacific Northwest. I'm all Space Needle. I'm all in. They can't hit that stupid Moose. The big dumper. J-Rod's starting to hit finally.
You know, every team in the AL West has a negative run differential.
Dude, the AL West stinks.
I mean, well, there's only one team over 500, and it's Seattle.
Yeah, the AL West stinks. I mean, Texas is never. Remember we talked about Bochy's never been under 500 with the Rangers. They're 25-29 in second place. The division's terrible. Angels are terrible. Astros technically are terrible.
You know,
Johnny's hot take for June is not aging well.
Yeah. You know, the thing with the Astros too, I can't believe you're counting them out. They just got back Jose Abreu, who has 1 extra base hit in 80 plate appearances. 1. He said it's the best he's felt in a while after going down to the complex for a month. I mean,
we're going to send you down to the complex.
You're 37 years old and you're hitting with 18 and 19-year-old kids.
We're going to send you down to the complex.
And then he was 0 for 7 in his rehab in AAA. He had a hit yesterday.
Hey, at least Charlie Blackmon's out there playing at 37. This might be his last year, but he's out there giving it. He had a nice sliding K. He had a big day yesterday.
Yeah, he did.
Coors Field.
But yeah, while we were on with Hembo, before we get to Johnny, the reason I brought up Rooker is because Rooker was meant that, I told you MLB Network said the Braves are not going to look for players. They're going to go internal. John Morosi said that Rooker's a name that he could look at for. I'm like, all right, we're already starting. We're already starting the trade rumors.
Yeah, but is Rooker really the kind of guy that you need an outfielder?
Yeah, correct.
Right?
You don't need to.
I mean, Rooker can put him in the outfield, but Rooker is somebody that, they did go get Jorge Soler.
In Jocktober.
Jocktober still is a pretty decent athlete. I mean, I don't know if Rooker would be the guy. He'd come cheap versus a guy that's a perennial big name.
I think I have it open. So the 3 guys he mentioned were Rooker.
I do not want to see a trade with the Braves. After everything that's happened with the Braves, I do not want to see a trade.
No more Braves trades.
No more.
It was Rooker, Tommy Pham, who's actually doing really well for the White Sox, and then Taylor Ward with the Angels.
By the way, Tommy Pham be the guy I get because he can play outfield and he comes super cheap. Who's the third guy?
Taylor Ward from the Angels,
who's hit some bombs lately. Yeah. Tommy Pham would be perfect for now, right? I need a guy who can step and play outfield now. Tommy Pham would be perfect.
You want me to go full broadcaster? Well, Tommy Pham's a leader in the clubhouse, too.
Is he really? He seems kind of prickly. It kind of depends, right? It kind of depends. I don't know if he's like a totally. We've got some great stuff from Joe Madden. It'll be my. And by the way, you know what strikes me, and I know this may not be the time to bring this up with you. But I do think gambling needs to be a bigger part of this show. It's the way the sport is going.
We started doing stuff last year a little bit with
it is the way we can't gamble. We can't gamble. I get it. There will be a time where we can. I'm not a big gambler anyway. I do my 1 trip to Reno a year. And that's where I go and I just bet football, and we bet football. I don't bet hoops. I don't bet baseball. I can't bet baseball. We go up and we bet college football all day. I mean, it's just a bunch of guys. It's all my buddies played ball with, college guys. And you'll be sitting there with like 8 tickets, right? Half of them win, half of them lose, whatever. And we bet football all day Saturday, all day Sunday. That's the only time of the year I bet. And then as we get to like playoffs, I'll bet NFL. Always bet the Super Bowl, and then that's it. I'll get into some pools for golf, like in a Masters pool. I was in the PGA pool. I'll be in a U.S. Open, but really just gambling. I'm not really a gambling guy, but I think it's kind of like it's where our sport's going, right? What was the little cups? It was like the smaller cup led to the bigger cups. That was the big craze at one point. They had a name for them.
I think I know what you're talking about, but I don't remember.
It was like the big cup, and you take the head off, and there was a smaller one, and then the smaller one. So that was it. There's always been the Beanie Babies. There's always been, how do we get people to the ballpark? Gambling is the next wave. It's one of the reasons why they want a team in Vegas. Gambling is changing in baseball. I'm sorry. It's the way it's going. Coming up next, hot takes. I hear it is humid and hot in Tampa, by the way. Excuse me, St. Petersburg.
Yes, St. Petersburg.
The great Johnny D. You have a hot take?
Yeah, I got one, yeah. It's not like Brent Rooker winning the home run derby, but
it's Tuesday. It's hot takes next right here on A's Cast Live.
Where does one community end and the next begin? Across the railroad tracks? On the other side of the river? Is it between the east side and the west side? At Comerica Bank, we believe it's all one community, and we're all part of it. That's why Comerica has invested over $20 million for affordable housing, financial education, and workforce development in lower-income communities. Because when we raise expectations for everyone, we all rise. Member FDIC, Equal Opportunity Lender.
Hey, Oakland A's fans, step up to the plate with Xfinity Internet. Get the fastest speeds and low-lag streaming for an incredible viewing experience that knocks it out of the park. And you'll have a consistent connection with reduced buffering and freezing, so you can stay in all the action inning after inning. When it's game time, make sure to catch it all with internet that's powerful and reliable. Stream sports from the best seat in the house with Xfinity, because it's only live once. Actual speeds vary and not guaranteed. Many factors affect speed. For factors affecting speed, visit xfinity.com/network management.
Whether it's a midweek trip to the ballpark to catch a game or a weekend of baseball for the family, grab your tickets for an A's game this season. Secure your seats today for all the biggest matchups, fireworks, drone shows, giveaways, and more. Don't miss out on all the things happening this season.
Throws and Seth. It's a drive into center. It's deep, and Straw is back at the track. He will turn and watch it fly.
So grab yours now at athletics.com/tickets. That's athletics.com/tickets.
Baseball season is officially here, and there's no better time to build your collection of Topps trading cards. Topps packs feature everything from top stars, rookies, game-used memorabilia, and autographs from players around the league, as well as special inserts and surprises. Visit your local hobby shop, retailers, and Topps.com to collect the first product of the season, Topps Baseball Series 1. Follow @Topps on social media to join the conversation and start sharing your collection today.
Hi, fans. This season, Kingsford Capital Management is the official hedge fund sponsor of the Oakland A's. At Kingsford, down to business is their way of seeing the world. Investing has its pitfalls, treacherous chasms of half-truth and despair. Kingsford's mission is to create opportunity through application of proven innovation and entrepreneurial focus with trust, tenacity, loyalty, and growth, establishing a strong reputation as a proven intendant and validated bedrock of American finance. Kingsford Capital, down to business.
This is the place where you can dance like nobody's watching, win like nobody's business, and get away like you mean it. So what are you waiting for? Come join the party. Take that evening out and make it a night you'll never forget. This kind of action can't be beat.
This is Chris Townsend. I'm proud to announce our year 2 partnership with Link Soul. They've changed my wardrobe, and they can do the same for you. And right now, their spring collection is fabulous. Natural fabrics and versatile styles, perfect for this time of the year. And they want to introduce their performance line for golf, premium for on-course apparel design, and to keep you cool and dry. Check it all out, linksoul.com. That's linksoul.com. Remember, look good, play good.
With more sunshine returning, it's time to get outside and make the most of what Cinnabar Hills Golf Club has to offer. Like 27 championship caliber holes tucked in the beautiful hills of San Jose. And take advantage of their amazing Bay Area views for your next special event. It's all for you at Cinnabar Hills Golf Club, an award-winning venue designed to peacefully take you away from the bustle of Silicon Valley. Go to CinnabarHills.com. That's CinnabarHills.com.
Being a Chevron car these days has been quite the adventure. Miami to Seattle, ocean to ocean. I've stopped at so many states and collected so many bumper stickers. Sometimes I feel like a moving passport book. It's just so great what I can do with Chevron with Techron, because it gives me unbeatable mileage and keeps my engine clean. Plus, there are so many chevrons along the way. Now the only thing I'm worried about is where to go next and where to put all my new bumper stickers. Chevron with Techron, fueled by possibility.
Streaming from the studio, A's Cast Live continues with Chris Townsend.
Hey, I don't want to be rushed.
How so?
I don't want Johnny D coming in here and rushing us.
He's
got 3 innings to call, and it's hours from now. I mean, seriously, I talk for hours a day. He's doing 3 innings. Hi, Johnny.
I'm right here, buddy.
Oh, hey, there you. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Memorial Day in St. Petersburg, Florida. It's a sneaky good town.
It is. Yeah, it was a good time yesterday. Got some sun. As you can tell, my bald head. I got some sun. And
did you get to the beach yesterday?
Yeah, went to the beach. Went to a few places and got some good food. Went to Ceviche's, which is right down the street. Really good place. Kind of just a tapas style, and really, really good. So enjoyed that. And it was a nice off day. It really was.
Did you take a dip in the ocean?
I did not. I didn't even dip my foot in. I didn't. No. It's. I've been reminded by my colleague, my friend Vince Cotroneo, that it's a bay. Actually, it's a gulf.
It's still called saltwater.
It's still saltwater. Exactly.
Yeah. And by the way, tell your buddy Vince Cotroneo there's sharks on that side of the so-called bay.
How many years did you live in Florida? I'm wondering.
No, I know a lot about the ocean because I actually grew up on it. I didn't grow up in Orlando next to Disneyland.
Yeah, no, it was good, man. It was humid. It's so humid out here. Obviously, I mean, not exactly a Phi Beta Kappa statement. Everybody knows it's humid out here, but when you're not used to it, it does. It's interesting. I'm not really a humid guy, so I don't know how it is in November, December, but man,
Road Trip Mike. Our guy Road Trip Mike sent me this great towel. I'm trying to figure out how to put it up.
There you go.
I'm trying to figure out the Notre Dame towel. Road Trip Mike is there with you. So he sent me some pictures. He was out on a pier fishing today. By the way, St. Petersburg, Florida, though, go back to the 2-shot. The St. Petersburg, Florida, that downtown, I could see why, if you're a snowbird from the Northeast, move down to St. Petersburg. It's a nice downtown.
I agree. Yeah, nice little downtown area. You got the pier. It's nice to walk around. No, I'm with you. I agree. Plenty of places to eat. Good times. Yeah, no, I'm with you. I like St. Pete.
Are you in the haunted mansion, the Vinoy Hotel?
It's funny. Ray and Vince got me back in 12 when I filled in for Ken. They told me the place was haunted, and they were all over me. So I'm in that hotel. I haven't experienced any hauntedness yet, but it sure is a nice hotel. But they do say it's haunted.
It is haunted. It's been on the ghost shows. Oh boy,
really?
Okay? Bro, you okay?
No, I don't like that.
Yeah, they've had the ghost hunters go to that hotel.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I'll be aware of that tonight. I'll be ready.
Sleep with one eye open. One eye open, my friend. Are you ready for your hot take? What do you got, hot take?
Oh, do you want
his hot take? Oh, wait, hold on. We got to do the open. I jumped the gun.
I am ready for hot take. Listen, I go first? Who goes first? Do I go first?
Got to play the open.
Okay.
Every once in a while, you hear a really good sports hot take.
Mark this. The Yankees will not win the World Series.
Then you hear some really bad hot takes.
I'm calling it now. There will be a collapse in Milwaukee, and the Chicago Cubs will catch them.
War is going to shock you.
Bad one.
Domingo Acevedo.
I have the White Sox winning the Central.
Oh, my God.
A's Cast Live, all takes are hot takes. It's time for Hot Takes Tuesday with Chris Townsend, only on A's Cast Live.
We will be backing Pedro Grifol, manager of the White Sox, here in a little bit on A's Cast Live. We will be backing him, and with the help of the great Joe Madden, who once starred as the manager there for the Tampa Bay Rays. But, Johnny, you've had some great hot takes. What do you got?
Here is my hot take today, and it is a hot one. Hot take is Angel Hernandez retiring is bad for baseball. It's bad for baseball. Yep, it is bad for baseball. And I'll tell you why. Look, with everything going on with replay and everything, and this, people are talking about the sport. First of all, the guy's a gentleman, and we know that. But I think Angel Hernandez in baseball is better for baseball. He's got, with all the blow-ups, everything goes on, the sport gets a lot of attention. I think it's bad for baseball. He's retiring. I miss him already. I wish he was still in the game. That's my take.
I'm floored.
Yeah, I didn't see this coming.
He's so awful. He is so awful. I can't even believe he's just retired and our game is suffering because of it. And he is so awful.
Well, yeah, he's
a hot take.
It's a hot take, and I honestly believe that. I think the game will be worse with Angel Hernandez retired than the game will be. I miss him. I miss him. And you know what? Did he make some bad calls? Absolutely. I mean, did he ruin Schwarber's week? Yes, he did. Did he ruin Bryce Harper's week? Yes, he did. A bunch of people. But I just think I'd rather have baseball where Angel Hernandez is an umpire in the big leagues than baseball where he isn't.
My favorite part is that you miss him already.
I do.
Didn't it come out yesterday?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not even 24 hours yet, and you've missed him.
Yep.
The body's not even cold.
That's right.
All right.
I miss him.
Hot take.
I mean, three decades as an umpire. I think he started
three decades of being terrible at your job.
91 was his first year, I think it was.
God, miss him already. That's a great take, Johnny.
That's very good, Johnny.
And you know what? Did not see that coming.
Nope. Threw a changeup.
Did not see that coming.
I got to put this one down.
Write that down, man. That's wow.
Baseball. What was it? Baseball will miss.
Sometimes the hot take is not going to be something we can judge.
Right.
Right. It's not going to be something we're just going to. That's just it's a hot take. And
but Towny, with ABS inevitably coming to the game, which I'm really fighting against. I know you're for ABS coming. I don't know. I like the human element. I really do.
You like bad umpiring, which is great. You miss him already.
I do.
Should we get him on the show?
Yeah, bring him on. He's a great guy. He's like one of the best. He's a really good human.
He just has trouble seeing right from wrong.
But you guys are pointing out all the bad calls he made. What about all the good calls he made? He made plenty of good calls too.
Do they highlight those? They only highlight I only ever seen highlight the bad ones.
It's interesting. I like it. It's a good take.
What do you guys got? What do you guys have?
This is not Rooker winning the home run derby, but
all right.
24 and 29, last place in the AL East, a negative 34 run differential. 13 and 16 versus teams over 500. The Toronto Blue Jays will make the first managerial change of 2024.
Ooh, I need to write that down.
Is that a hot take?
Well, the easy ones. Oh, Chicago's going to fire Grafal, or Schumacher will be out in Miami.
Really?
Those are really hot takes, man.
I think Toronto's going to make a change eventually.
Think so? Okay.
They can't keep, being 5 games under 500 with all that talent.
I mean, they might start trading guys.
Yeah. I mean, I know Bichette's starting to hit better now, and Vlad's been doing decent, but he doesn't have the power. And Bassett has he's gone 2 scoreless outings his last 2 games over 12 innings, but they just haven't been good this year. Gossman hasn't been good. So yeah, John Steiner will be the first manager replaced in 2024.
Are you giving us a time frame within the next 3 weeks, 4 weeks, or just?
I just said first one to happen.
First one
in season.
Hotter take would be that Joe Madden takes over.
Oh, wow.
That's the hotter take.
Hot take Tuesday, Vinny.
Out of nowhere, Vinny comes with even a hotter take than your hot take.
I'm putting Vince on that. Joe Madden will manage the Blue Jays.
That's a hot take.
What's yours?
He just one-upped your hot take.
That's good.
He's building upon your hot take to make it even hotter.
Yeah.
Because Vince knows as a veteran that wasn't that hot of a take. So Vince kind of threw you a rescue boat to help you. Right, Vince? Am I right?
Just through the line in the water is what we did.
All right. Well, I'm going to give you a hot take. You ready? You guys are all kissing Aaron Judge's ass, you Yankee honks. And by the way, it is pretty impressive. 23 extra base hits in May. It is one short of a record you might have heard of Lou Gehrig and Babe Ruth. You guys might have heard of them. You guys are Juan Soto this. You got, oh, my God. I'm telling you right now, my guy Hosey, your MVP of the American League, the man with 54 RBIs. You call it a team stat as a sabermetrician. You think RBIs don't matter? They matter to me. Jose Ramirez is missing one thing from his resume, which will be a Hall of Fame resume. That is an MVP. Jose Ramirez will be your American League MVP. Cleveland will win the Central. He's going to lead RBIs by a ton, and he'll finally have that one thing missing off of his resume. He will, because Juan Soto will get votes that will take away from Judge. You can probably throw Bobby Witt Jr. in there, whoever you want to throw in there. In the end, Gunnar, Adley Rushman, you're going to have Jose Ramirez will be the American League MVP.
Okay.
Jose.
I like it. You know, look, it's not, but he has two things missing from his resume. Obviously the MVP and also the championship, the world championship ring, but he could get that as well.
Well, that's a team thing. MVP is an individual. I'm talking about individual stuff.
Yeah, true.
That's one thing. Because when you look at a lot of great players, was he ever the MVP? He gets that MVP, get that plaque ready in Cooperstown, New York. How do you not love a guy? Does Jose Ramirez look like he's hanging out in the gym all day long?
He's not a gym rat.
No, he's a baseball player, as they like to say.
Did you guys see what he said when they asked him about getting the Barry Bonds treatment against the Angels when they walked him? I'm better than Barry Bonds.
Yeah.
Is that what he said?
What Jose said.
Hey, and by the way, he has one of the quickest rights you've seen when he knocked out that fake tough guy.
Down goes Anderson. Down goes Anderson.
That was a guy, you know what? I hope someday you get a call like that in your career.
Oh, man.
Isn't that just awesome? By the way, Tim Anderson, did you see him kicking it around yesterday for the Marlins?
Not great. Not great for Timmy.
All right, Johnny. Great stuff. We appreciate the time. I'm glad you had a great – did everybody have a good off day, the whole team?
Yeah, absolutely. Ready to roll.
How are they feeling, by the way, in Tampa? A couple games under 500.
They don't feel very good. They haven't played very well. Matter of fact, they think their record is better than they've played, actually. Like they played very poor baseball in just pretty much every facet, but they're still 26 and 28 and hanging, so they find a way. Zach Littell's been a great surprise for them, though, and he's pitching against the A's tonight, so hopefully they can get to Zach, who's throwing a lot of strikes.
By the way, when you go to the home improvement store, that's spelled Lowe. How is that pronounced?
Right. You don't say Lowe's, do you? You say Lowe's, but here it's Lowe. Yep.
I don't get. Did he go back on the IL with the oblique again?
No, that was Josh Lowe. Brandon Lau's back.
Brandon Lau's back because Brandon Lau didn't have the game winner.
Yeah. Pinch hit triple, 3-run triple. Yep.
All right, Johnny, be well, my friend. I will talk to you. What do you want in the third?
I talked to you at 6:10 too, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
I'm going to have something for you in the third. You want to rip the national media who ripped the A's all off season?
Whatever you want. Hey, it's your.
I'm gonna have something for you to chew on.
Okay. Sounds
all right,
good.
Johnny D, you're awesome, buddy. Be well.
Bye, Johnny. Guys, thank you.
And this is where Vince will turn around and go, "Those guys are idiots."
But he gave us a hot take.
Yeah, Hosey's going to win the MVP. He's at 54 RBIs right now. Did you know that?
I knew he had a lot. I knew he was leading the American League last week.
No one's even close.
Yeah.
No one's even close to him. I think this is the year, right? He gets that American League MVP. I mean, that's the kind of thing that when you have a great career, you throw the MVP on it just solidifies the Hall of Fame. He's one of the greatest switch hitters of all time. They had something earlier today on MLB Network about where I got this idea about switch hitters. And then you look at all of his stolen bases.
Yeah.
So they put up like Mickey Mantle, Chipper Jones, Mark Teixeira. They didn't do Eddie Murray. I know he wouldn't be in there. I'm thinking like the greatest switch hitters of all. They had like Jose Ramirez has like 200 something stolen bases. No one's even close. I think Mantle had like 150 something. Yeah, he's got 210 stolen bases. Like you forget what an all-around great player Jose Ramirez is for his career.
Hosey
is a lifetime 278 hitter, lifetime 854 OPS. He's got 800 RBIs, 231 home runs, 210 stolen bases. His OPS plus, what's 100?
League average.
He's 129 for his career.
It's very solid.
I mean, it's been a great career. He's been to the All-Star game 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. He's finished in the top 3 of the MP. He's finished. You want top 3? Okay, top 3. He's finished 3 times in the top 3.
He finished second before, right?
Yeah, he finished second in 2020. And then he's finished in the top 5 4 times. So he's been knocking on, knock on heaven's door. He gets it. Jose Ramirez will be your American League MVP and solidifying his path. Because someday when we look up, he's played 12 years. He's only 31. He's going to play for, I could see, for years to come. He'll have well over 1,000 RBIs, well over runs scored. He's at 821. So he'll have all the numbers, and he'll have the MVP. And you'll say, was he ever the best? You'll say, well, in 2024, he was your American League MVP.
The only reason he didn't win in 2020 is because that was the year that Jose Abreu won, I'm pretty sure. And he had like
he was huge in those 60 games.
He was great for the White Sox that year. Someone in a fantasy league offered me a trade for Jose Ramirez, for Jose. And I looked at the guys. He goes, look at my team. And I'm like, I want Ellie in the trade. He goes, well, I can't trade Ellie De La. I'm like, you're asking for Jose Ramirez. I'll take Jose Ramirez over Ellie De La Cruz. People probably think I'm crazy, but I'll take him.
He's got 54 RBIs, man.
And he hits.
It's not even June.
Yeah. So you said
there's a lot of games left. I don't know if you know that.
Yeah. What was his OPS plus again? 129, or that's career 129?
This year it's 142.
So let's take you to the whole. I heard this earlier on Farron and Duquette's show on Power Alley. Chris Taylor of the Dodgers, his OPS plus is 0.
How's that possible?
He has no home runs. He has a negative point. Negative.
If one is basically a replacement player.
Yes. I mean, Jose Abreu is negative 16.
That's bad.
Yeah. And these are two, I mean.
So what does that say? You're minus 16 when 100 is as average can get. What does it say if you shouldn't be in professional baseball whatsoever?
I don't know what the parameters are, but that's kind of where it's or you shouldn't be playing as much as you are.
You technically should. If he's 0, you shouldn't be in professional. You should be at the big league level.
Negative 16 OPS plus for Jose Abreu. Negative 1.5 WAR.
You shouldn't be in baseball.
Yeah, I mean, there's probably more to why he went to the complex. Like I know he wanted to rework his swing, but this is a guy that was very consistent for how many years? Then all of a sudden he just fell off a cliff. I mean,
yeah.
I don't.
All right, update me. What do we got?
We have Brian Anderson in like 7 minutes.
Okay. After him, we'll get into my, because I got the stats. It is the Big Four. We heard so much. Maybe we obsess on it a little bit more than you because you didn't live it like we did. But we were next to Marquee, who does Cubs games. Cody Bellinger. Cody Bellinger. Oh my God, are they going to pay him $200 million? Matt Chapman wanted $200 million. These guys wanted $200 million. The Big Four, these Scott Boras clients, crazy. How about Craig Counsell? Craig Counsell leaves. Are you talking about some of these big stories in the offseason to start the season? And the Cubbies are 500. And they're losing to the Brewers. And yesterday they're booing them, which I thought was great. But man, some of these you got to check. We said this Memorial Day is the first checkpoint. I mean, no question. Thumbs up for Juan Soto and the Yankees. That's been huge. He's been like perfect fit. He's been an absolute perfect fit. Now, it'll be interesting with Brian Anderson is how do the Rays, like, how does he see this? Because you've seen it, like, you count the Rays out, next thing you know, boom, they're there. How does he see this playing out? Because I got all their numbers, and they're not great.
Have you looked at
I can give you the head-to-head matchup between the A's and the Rays. The Rays are not great.
Well, no, I was gonna say, have you seen the numbers on their quote unquote best player, Randy Arozarena this year?
Been bad. Other than when they bust out the skateboard City Connects that weekend, he hasn't been good.
Randy Arozarena on the season is where I have it on here. He has a negative 0.6 WAR. He's hitting 156, 8 home runs, 18 runs batted in, and a 566 OPS. This is our bad. I mean, this is a guy they were hoping to have a big year because he was good last year.
Explain this. We have 68 home runs. They have 43. Extra base hits. We have 153. We're middle of the pack. They're at 123. What do they do well?
Their offense. I mean, there are two guys leading at what are is it Johnny DeLuca and
Johnny DeLuca's played well,
and Isaac Paredes is the other big guy that they got in Detroit a couple years ago. Those are their two big guys right now. Arozarena's not hitting. I mean, obviously Lausna's coming back. Josh Lowe is hurt. They just haven't had a really good year offensively.
And the bullpen hasn't been as good.
That's what they've been built on for years. I mean, Littell, Johnny's right. Littell has been a great find for them.
Put it this way, the team ERA for the Rays is the same as the A's. And they have been built on pitching. This is a team that was in the playoffs last year.
Yeah, remember what was their record when they started the year? They remember how good of a year start they had to the year?
I mean, who would say that their relievers would be their relief core has a 4.52 ERA. The A's is 3.42. If I said before the start of the year, A's will have a better bullpen than the Rays are known for bullpens. They're the kings of bullpen. So I'm saying it'll be interesting to ask Brian, like, where's this thing going? Like, how do you see this thing playing out? With the Yankees playing the way they're playing, the Orioles are going to be there. They are so tough. Red Sox are been hovering in and about 500. You're now under 500, and Toronto's flailing, and they could be like, how does he see this thing playing out?
Yeah.
But always in the back of your mind, the Rays could start doing Ray-like things, which is winning in bunches, shocking the hell out of you, and before you know it, they're in the postseason.
They need to get Ahmed Rosario hitting again because he was starting out the year very well. He's hit over 300 to start the season. He was a guy that, they wasn't hitting in Cleveland the last couple of years, and they brought him in, and he did well. They got Junior Caminero. He's one of the top prospects in baseball. They'll eventually promote him to come up.
Wander Franco, we really haven't heard much about that. Like, what's happened with that?
You literally have not heard anything.
Like, what happened with this long term? How long was this contract? 13 years?
Something like, it was like for like 180 million or whatever it was.
Look it up. Let's see if there's anything new. Wander Franco was like, oh, this guy's going to, remember I got stuck with him in fantasy?
Well, 2 days ago from Tampa Bay Times, Wander Franco no longer has to do monthly check-ins. That's with Dominican authorities.
Is he still part of the Rays organization?
He's on leave. He's on leave, yeah. Administrative leave. Wow. It's through June 1st, so we'll probably get something if he's going to get extended, which I'm most likely he'll probably get extended through for a few more, probably the rest of the season.
Where are we? What's the date today?
May 28th.
Yeah, we'll be out of Dodge. June 1st is on Saturday. Man, you got what you think is a franchise player. You got another one of these contracts, right?
11 for 182.
11 for 182. How many of these contracts just don't work?
And we talked about
crazy.
We were talking about Ronald Acuna Jr. earlier, and I know it's not the same length as what Wander Franco got, but I mean, at least Acuna can get on the field before the injury.
We would really have to go through how many of these long-term contracts have ever worked. Miguel Cabrera's nightmare. Albert Pujols, nightmare. Those guys obviously signed it but these are the guys who signed these are supposed to be bulletproof because these guys are young. You're buying their prime, as they say.
Who else was? Are we talking about just signing? Can we do re-signings too? I mean, look at Strasburg. How Strasburg's deal worked out for him. I mean, Anthony Rendon with the Angels as well. I mean, that's not working.
Go back to Kevin Brown. It was like the original. Kevin Brown got that like $111 million by the Dodgers. Disaster. They've all been like disasters.
I think the only guy
I'm trying to think who had a long-term big money deal where you went, yep, that worked out great, start to finish.
Well, there's a couple that are still
not A-Rod.
There's still a couple in progress. I think Bryce Harper is probably the closest we can go.
Probably Jeter.
Yeah,
you're happy with the way that all. I mean,
yeah.
Jeter's played out to the very end, storybook ending. Okay, Jeter had the long-term deal. One. Trout's been a disaster now.
We don't know if I mean, we don't know if he's going to be back this year. This is another year of a lot of what ifs with him.
How's Chris Bryant's doing?
Well, he has the bad back now, or I know he played against us, but
like it's amazing. Oh, we signed this guy up. He's a Ranger for life. Seegers has been pretty good, obviously, winning the World Series and being the MVP. But I mean, he can't stay healthy. I mean, just thinking about through all these years, who has signed the long term? I think Jeter. Jeter was healthy. Jeter won championships. Jeter was productive to the very end. He went out. It was a storybook ending, but who else?
Look it up. Brian Anderson's joining in a second. I remember I went through this like in the offseason. Lindor's not really working out great for the Mets.
Lindor's not hitting. Giancarlo Stanton's a disaster. Garrett Cole now has Tommy John surgery.
Yeah, there's some of the ones that were worrisome. I was looking at some of them recently. Longest contracts in baseball history. Tatis is one. Okay.
Tatis suspended.
Machado. Where are we at on Machado?
Not great. You really think about how they doubled down on his contract after he started. They have the run through the NLCS, the Padres do, and they eventually lose. And then they go into the offseason, everybody's feeling great, and they get to spring training and Manny's pitching.
Yeah.
And so they double down, and what we saw last year at the end of last year where people were talking about the lack of leadership. Kevin Acee down at the San Diego Union Tribune did that whole article about whether Manny was a good leader or not. So I'd say no. Tatis with the Padres, no. Oh, you know what? I'll give you one. Mookie Betts.
Yeah, well,
Mookie Betts long-term deal. Mookie Betts rock solid. More, you know what? Above and beyond. He may be, we don't know injury-wise how he'll age, but Mookie Betts now going from right field to shortstop at 31 years old. We've never seen that in the history of the game. I would say Mookie Betts it's hard to beat Jeter's, how storybook that career was in the ending, and switching over as the captain of the Yankees to a new ballpark and everything. It's tough to beat that. But from a pure playing standpoint, I would say all these long-term deals have been an absolute disaster. There's only a couple that have been okay. Mookie Betts, purely from a performance one, would be the one where you could say, okay, this, as of right now, has worked out great.
Where do you, Brian Anderson's here, but where do you send a Harper then?
Real good.
Because he's
had trouble staying healthy.
He's still got years left too. I mean, he still has plenty of years left.
But, if he, Harper, what's his 13 years?
Yeah, 13.
Yeah, I would have to think. I think we're going to end up saying, yeah, that was a great one.
I agree with you on that.
We got him ready to rock?
Yeah.
Hey, it is great to see you. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Just getting ready for this fantastic post-Memorial Day series to start off, and looking forward to get our first look at Oakland.
You had the day off yesterday too, didn't you?
Yeah, we did, which was very strange. It was funny. I was driving home, a few nights ago. It was the night that the Rays had gotten swept by Boston. And our post-game host on the radio was talking about, hey, listen, they got an off day tomorrow, quick series with Kansas City, then they're going to have another off day on Monday. And I was thinking to myself, what a moron. I mean, this guy works for the team, has no idea when the off days are. And because I was thinking it was on Thursday, certainly we're going to be playing on Memorial Day. And sure enough, I get off the highway, get to the first red light, take a quick peek at my phone, and I'm like, who's the moron? It's not him. It was me. So, yeah, I assumed we would be playing, but listen, we didn't, made the most of it, but we're here tonight.
Well, I tell you what, I can't remember the last time we had a holiday off. I thought it was strange until I was teeing it up yesterday, and all of a sudden I went, this is great.
Yeah.
This is great. Off on Memorial Day like a normal human being. It was absolutely amazing. We were talking about you. Of course, we always like talking about when you won the championship with the D-backs and the career that you had. And we were talking about just, long-term contracts. And I don't want you to comment anything on Wander Franco, but it's just we've seen so many long-term deals. Now with Acuna getting hurt, we've seen so many long-term deals, and it's just that commitment for a long time. Fairly rarely do these things work out.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. I think that across the board, I think maybe if you look at Max Scherzer, he was able to perform at a pretty high level when he had the long contract. But you're right. For the most, you think Albert Pujols, that seems to be kind of, the standard here recently, where, you give that big 10, 11, 12-year deal to someone who's already got some years in the game. And I think that these owners are thinking, look, I need a championship in the first 4 or 5 years. I know the back end, it's not going to work out too well for me, and it's going to become such a bad contract. I can't get rid of it. But if we get a championship or two on the front end, it'll make it worthwhile. And I think that that's what they're going for with a lot of these guys, or what they have done with a lot of these guys. But you're right. At the end of the day, the track record on those big, long deals has been abysmal at best.
I've been waiting to ask you this because as someone who came up when you did, the style of pitching, and I start thinking about how baseball is changing for us, the amount of off-speed, mostly breaking pitches, it's crazy when you see the percentages, how it just far outweighs fastballs to where even the Red Sox are only throwing with Andrew Bailey, our old pitcher, Andrew Bailey, now the pitching coach, is only 30% fastballs. How are you with this? You're watching it. What do you think? Sustainable? Just your thoughts on pitching in baseball now in 2024, and everything is breaking ball after breaking ball.
Well, and you know what? I was going to use Boston as an example. We just had seen them on the last, on this homestand, and had seen them the previous road trip. So we had them 7 out of 10 games. And here's the thing: it's their 4-seam fastball usage is like 14%. 14% 4-seam fastball, a little higher on the 2-seam to bring it to 30, but 30 was the major league average for 4-seam fastball. And Boston here is spinning everything, trying to get 2-seamers to dart, sliders, sweepers, curveballs, splits, everything, and only at 13, 14% 4-seam fastball. Is it sustainable? I guess if you have a lot of arms waiting in the wings, because guys are going to be getting, think about this. They are asking these pitchers to go max effort on every fastball, rip breaking balls. We talked about when I was playing, sometimes a guy would have a curveball and a slider. A lot of times, unless those were 2 elite pitches, they kind of discouraged you because they didn't want those pitches to blend together. We had a kid here the other day for Kansas City that had 4 breaking balls. 4. He had a curveball, a slider, a sweeper, and a slurve. And they were all different. I don't know how you do it, but you're asking these guys to rip these breaking balls, max effort on the fastballs, and then wonder why you're having, Tommy John surgeries, you're having arm issues like you are. Here's what I will tell you. People have talked about the pitch clock. That's a bunch of garbage. It's not the pitch clock. This is what it is. We are being able to train for velocity. I can make my body stronger. I can make my body more flexible. I can make my pitching mechanics more efficient. I can train for velocity. I can go into the pitch lab and I can get these grips to be able to rip breaking balls with unbelievable RPMs. Do you know what I can't do? The one thing that I cannot do, I cannot do anything to help out those ligaments and tendons. So, I can do everything else, stronger, flexible, more efficient, more spin, more velocity, train for all of that, but I cannot support those ligaments and tendons. And when I'm asking them to take on the workload that I'm asking them to take on, let's not be surprised when the little guys ping.
Then you're out for a year. Your career's completely changed. You never know. Would you have been comfortable throwing that many breaking balls?
No. And for me, the number one reason is because my breaking ball stunk. I mean, I could spot the fastball.
You won a lot of games. You were very good.
Well, and it's funny. I laugh about it now. I'm like, I was a 2-pitch starting pitcher. I mean, I literally had the fastball that I could locate, and I had a really good changeup. But my breaking ball was never a pitch at any point in my career where it had the hitters in fear. That was like a third, requisite pitch that I needed to keep them off the fastball and the changeup. But that was not a pitch that was putting the fear in anybody. And so, I can't imagine ripping off the breaking balls that these guys do. But you got to remember, too, brainwashed is not the right word, but they've been taught this way since they've gotten into pro ball. So once they get to the big leagues where we start quantifying all of this stuff, this is normal for them. They don't know any better. We had a guy, the kid today, I marveled at this. Mitch Spence, who's going to be starting tonight for Oakland. So he's got his average fastball, true fastball, his two-seamer averages 94 miles per hour. He throws it 4%. 94-mile-an-hour heater, 4%. It's all cutter slider, 41, 41. And then down the list he goes. But you've got a 94-mile-an-hour fastball that you don't throw. You throw it 4 out of every 100 pitches. That's the way that these guys roll now. And that's all that they know. It goes against everything that I grew up in the game on how you pitch, but that's how they pitch now. And they don't know any better.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I don't see it changing anytime soon. We're talking about the Rays. And always with the Rays, you're never counting out anything. We got a long way to go. I always joke the Rays can start doing Ray-like things at any point. It's hard to look at and see. And now the A's are one of the top home run hitting teams, but the A's don't score a lot. But just to see how low Tampa is in extra base hits, Randy Arozarena's. The offense hasn't been clicking. Just right now, how you feeling about the Rays going forward? Because obviously the Yankees and the Orioles are off to really good starts.
Yeah, they're running away with it at this point. So, the Rays have to kick it into gear relatively soon. You think when the season started, they got Johnny DeLuca in the trade, Tyler Glasnow trade to the Dodgers. And he was going to, factor pretty, important out there in the outfield. And then, of course, Josh Lowe, who had a tremendous season last year, he was injured coming out of spring training in right field. Now, Johnny DeLuca, your fourth outfielder, who is going to get a lot of playing time and can do a lot of really good things, he's hurt coming out of spring training. So he's out. Brandon Lau missed a ton of time from the beginning of the season. There's another big bat out. Randy Arozarena or Yandy Diaz got off to a really slow start. He's been a lot better the last few weeks, but he got off to a really slow start. And then Randy Arozarena on top of that has still not gotten it going quite yet for the Rays. So you think about all of their main cogs that were just either hurt or having terrible starts to the season. It's really no wonder why the offense has been so hit or miss. I mean, their most consistent hitter has been Isaac Paredes, who's raised his average from last year to this year around 50, 55 points. He's still, hitting the home run and driving runs in. But outside of that, it's been kind of a mixed bag. Like I said, now, Yandy Diaz has gotten a lot better, but they need their big boys to be their big boys. And that means Brandon Lau, now that he's back in the lineup, he needs to contribute. He certainly did in that last game against Kansas City, which is why they won a bases clearing triple, in a close ball game. And Randy Arozarena needs to get it going. And if they do, then they've got a chance to turn it around. But if it keeps being hit or miss, then they are what their record says they are. Just, we've heard that from Bill Parcells. That's who they are. They're 2 games under 500, and that's just about the consistency level right now. A good one and then a bad one. A decent one, okay, maybe you're going to turn the corner, and then another clunker. So, but time is of the essence because Baltimore and New York are starting to distance themselves.
Well, and just think about this. For all these years we've been doing this, whenever we talk to you, we would never say that the A's had better numbers in the bullpen than the Rays bullpen. The Rays bullpen has always been so dominant. I mean, that's shocking to me. And the A's have been pretty good. That's one of the reasons why we're a lot better this year and have won 22 games compared to last year's disaster. But, I mean, that's got to be odd. Do you think that the A's have had better numbers than the Rays in the bullpen, which has always been the club's main strength?
Yeah. Coming into the season, I think everybody thought that was the main strength of this team. Kyle Snyder said, this group that I have in the bullpen is the most accomplished and it's the deepest of any bullpen that I've had here. And I don't think there was anybody that disagreed with him. I mean, when you look at the names, the track records, you're like, this bullpen is locked down. And for whatever reason, they got off to a horrendous start. A lot of it had to do with walks. There was at one point into late April where the walk rate coming out of the bullpen was about 6 per 9 innings. I mean, they were walking the yard, and that's so not like them at all, like you kind of alluded to. Jason Adam has been their most consistent reliever coming out, and now when you look at what basically at this point in time, you've got Garrett Clevenger, Jason Adam, and Pete Fairbanks, since coming back off of the IL, has been absolutely perfect. I mean, he has been dominant as we've seen him in a Rays uniform. So at this point in time, on the right night, it's a 6-inning game because Garrett Clevenger, up until Garrett Clevenger's last outing, which I believe was Sunday, up until that outing, he had given up 3 singles since April the 16th. I mean, he'd gone 5.5 weeks and given up 3 singles. He was as dominant, not quite as dominant as Mason Miller for you guys, but he probably was next in line. Jason Adam again's been great, and Fairbanks has been great. So they've essentially shortened the game at this point to 6 innings. But for the first month and a half, they did not perform up to their standards, and that certainly hurt the win-loss record too.
Can you imagine if you would have been able to throw 103?
Every pitch, just like our guy does, just like Miller does. I watched some video on him today. The thing that blows me away about him is I had come across a stat where the first 2-strike fastball that he threw this year was to Jose Ramirez, and it was 99.2 miles an hour with 2 strikes. Every single 2-strike fastball since then has been 101.5 or higher. That's insane. I mean, that is insane. Not 100 plus, 101.5 plus if you get to 2 strikes. He's able to find another tick or two. You're averaging 100.9, and you're able to grab another mile an hour or two with 2 strikes. That is ridiculous. And as much as people are like, yeah, well, we don't want to see Mason Miller this series, I do. I do want to see it.
It's breathtaking. I mean, to watch somebody throw that hard, and then wait till you see his slider, but it's just the human brain for a hitter just doesn't have time to decipher what to do because it's on you so fast.
Yeah, I can remember striking out against Kerry Wood with a fastball letter high that it came out of his hand. I saw the whole baseball because it was up close to my eyes. And I thought, boy, I'm on this. I am on this. And I took a swing, and, of course, it had blown me away. And I'm walking off the field, and I peek up, and it was 98. Now, 98 was on you. Like, the ball came out of his hand, and there was a thump. I can't even imagine what 102, 103, because exponentially it looks even harder when you're at that velocity already, 98, and you start bouncing it up 1, 2, 3. It's at a completely different level. So I don't know how they do it either.
By the way,
did I just throw hearts there into the screen?
Yeah, we got a little love from you.
I have no idea.
Hey, well, let me tell you, Dwayne, you guys do a great job before the game. Dwayne's always been a good friend of the program. You guys on TV do an unbelievable job. We always have you on before our games out here on the West Coast. You guys are one of the best pairs in all of baseball. So we're always watching. Keep doing a great job, and we'll see you out in Oakland.
Absolutely. Thank you for the kind words, and look forward to it.
See ya. Brian Anderson, World Series champion, back with the D-backs. And 01 had a terrific career, and now with Dwayne Stats, they do an unbelievable job. I think they're one of the best pairs in the game.
Dwayne has a very distinct voice. I mean, he used to be the voice of the Yankees, and I love being able to catch them. They're radio guys too. It's unfortunate that we lost Dave Wills, but Andy Fried and
such a nice guy.
Neil Solans do a really good job on Rays Radio, and I know they're big fans of Ace Cast. So, I always like when we were able to catch up with those guys. And I did notice that when he did I never actually tried making the heart, but like whenever you
can't do the Taylor Swift.
Yeah, no.
The Swiftie.
But apparently, like, I didn't realize that. I think the first time I noticed.
You're more a Bieber guy when.
No.
You'd be more of a Bieber guy.
I'm more of a Harry Styles guy.
I think you're more Bieber.
But I think Jess Kleinschmidt did it once when she was on with us. She did the heart, and I saw that happen. I completely forgot that's the thing you could do with our streaming. You make the heart. I don't know.
But we can't do it because we're going through.
Yeah, I think if you're on your actual camera, like it'll do it when you're on. So.
That's fun.
I love that he noticed. He goes, "Did I just throw up hearts?"
Yeah, that is hilarious.
Everybody,
all right.
everybody.
What time are we out of here?
We can go till a little after 3 because pregame's at 3:10.
That's the problem. I sit here all morning long and I put all this stuff together and then we run out of time. All right. I do want to get to my big stories in the off season. The big 4. Blake Snell. All right. So here we heard ad nauseum, right? We talk contracts money. We hear all the stuff all through the winter about how much money these guys are all going to get, and the Boris clients are going to hold out for the most. And in the end, they all settled for 1-year deals. Now, Bellinger got 3 years, but it's a 1-year deal. Snell, Montgomery, Chapman, 2-year deals. They're 1-year deals. They're all 1-year deals with the idea they would prove themselves again. And then they'd opt out and go back into this rat race again. Boy, were they sold a bag of goods. And anybody who's a free agent going into this offseason, you better have paid attention.
Juan Soto. He's the first guy I thought of.
Yeah, I really wonder. We didn't get to talk about Steve Cohen and the Mets. I mean, this is year 4 of Steve Cohen, and he's wanting to spend less money. Like, how many suitors are there really going to be out there for Juan Soto? And how much are you Brian Cash? But Juan Soto, we'll start with him. Question was, you're leaving San Diego. Wasn't great. Times really good. At times bad. Now you're going to the Yankees. You're going to your 3rd team. Juan Soto has been great for the Yankees. They love him. He's delivered. He's played like an all-star player. Seems like a great fit. Put him in right field, right? Short porch, so you don't have to be great defensively because we know he's not. Doesn't have a great arm. Doesn't need to have one. And he can just walk and hit. Juan Soto, I think that's a huge Memorial Day check-in. Big story of the offseason. Thumbs up to the Yankees and Juan Soto.
Completely agree. He's in like 310 or 312. He has 14 home runs, 44 RBI in 55 games or something like that. He's been great for the Yankees. And he doesn't have to worry about playing, he doesn't worry being the stellar defensive player because Aaron Judge is that guy for them in center field. So I think he's been a great
stellar, but
compared to Soto and Stanton, he looks like Willie Mays out there.
979 OPS, hitting 310, 14 bombs, 44 RBIs, huge. All right, next, Dodgers. Thumbs up big time. Memorial Day check-in on Shohei Ohtani, minus the whole gambling thing. Didn't affect them whatsoever. And Tyler Glasnow. They got a doubleheader at Citi Field today, probably going on as we speak, game 1. Right now it's at 4:10. Can that be
What's it say?
It can't be. Hold on.
It might be 4:10 Eastern because that.
How do you play a double header starting at 4?
4:10 Eastern that's Eastern.
Yeah, so it's 1 o'clock. So they should be playing right now. Yeah, they're playing right now. Mets lead 2-0. Lindor hadn't hit a home run in the last 15 games. Lindor has hit a 2-run shot off Tyler Glasnow. But I would say for the Dodgers, they've lost 5 straight, could be 6 in a row, but still at 33-32, thumbs up. I mean, because Ohtani's leading still in everything in the National League.
And he's throwing from 60 feet now with Tommy John rehab. Those two. What about Yamamoto?
Jury's still out.
I'll give him it's so early in his career.
It's still early.
But those two guys, absolutely.
Yeah.
Did not think Glasnow's going to be this good or healthy this long.
No, that has been good. Craig Counsell. Craig Counsell, who got booed yesterday, rightfully so, going. Is this actually from the game?
Yeah. It was actually Dominic Catrona that posted the video.
I don't know. Some people are like, I can't believe he went to the enemy.
Exactly.
I understand he lived out his contract. I get it. Oh, he went to the enemy. Who cares? I mean, who cares he lived out to his contract? He went to the enemy. You don't leave, I don't know, Red Sox for the Yankees.
Yeah, don't be Johnny Damon or Jacoby Ellsbury.
You don't leave Oklahoma. You don't leave Oklahoma State to go to Oklahoma. Doesn't matter what the sport. You leave and you go to the enemy. It's going to be the rival. You should get booed. And you know what? You took a lot of money, so wear it. And you know what? Counsell actually was great about it. And he said, yeah, they should boo me. I get it. Cubs, though, here's the thing. You spent all this money on this guy who supposedly is a genius. Cubs are 27-27. They've lost 5 in a row, in danger of falling under 500 for the first time since the very beginning of the season. Over the last month, dating back to April 27th, only the Mets have a worse record, and the Mets have been bad. Cubs look to avoid a 6-game losing streak for the first time since the 9-game skid in July of 22. Cubs are last in the majors, dating back to April 27th, in average, slug, and runs scored. They've hit 2 home runs and 253 at-bats in 8 games dating back to May 18th.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
So it was seen as a coup that the Cubs got him away from the Brewers, that he signed this monster deal, to where monster deals for managers have really gone by the wayside. It's obvious front offices don't value the guy in the dugout the way they used to. I still do, but I just wonder, you put so much on the on banking on Counsell, long way to go in his contract, but you're starting out, you're 27-27. So Memorial Day check-in. How's the deal so far?
I agree with the Cubs fans should be booing.
Oh, by the way, the team you left is in first place, 31-22. They have not missed a beat. Supposedly they were winning. Obviously, the players play, but Counsell was such a big part of that. Memorial Day check-in, Brew Crew right where they want to be without him.
Remember, they're without him and Corbin Burns.
You're in first place, and you lead them by 4.5 games.
They've had a great start. Some of their young guys.
A lot can happen, but we're doing the Memorial Day check-in, the first checkpoint in the Major League Baseball season. How you feeling, Brewer fan? How you feeling, Cub fan? Cub fan, you got to be like, man, we paid this guy all this money, and we're losing to the Brewers.
The only thing, if you're a Cubs fan, I'd be excited about is Shota Imanaga, because he's been great for them. I mean, he's been better than Yamamoto. That's about it. I mean, other than that,
he's been better than anybody in the first 9 starts of a career.
Yeah, he's been awesome for them.
He's been Fernando Mania-like. He's been better than Fernando Mania.
Javier Asad's been good too, their other pitcher. But like some of their other guys have not been good. Their offense has not been good. Bellinger's hasn't been great. So,
big stories of the offseason. Getting back to the big four, want to go through them quickly. Blake Snell. Blake Snell, in his last 23 starts for San Diego, last year when he won the National League Cy Young Award, last 23 starts, take a guess how many earned runs he gave up.
Last 23 starts, he was awesome last year for them. So
last 23 starts.
23. No, that'd be less. 15.
Gave up 18. 18 earned runs in his last 23 starts. You miss spring training. You're so worried about the money. You got to take a worse deal. You start out 0-3 with a 10.42 ERA. I've got more on that to tell you how bad this is for Blake Snell and the Giants. To where the Giants, despite him, are doing great. San Francisco, their last 11 games, they're 9-2. They're scoring 7.3 runs per game. Their batting average is 295. You say batting average doesn't matter. Home runs, 13, and OPS 832. Giants are rocking and rolling. Blake Snell stinks. Worst ERA in first 5 starts of a season after winning the Cy Young. You ready?
Yeah.
This is the worst 5 ever. Jim Palmer in 1981 had a 6.15 after winning the Cy Young the year before. Blackjack, Jack McDowell, went to school where?
No idea.
Stanford.
Oh.
Blackjack, 6.61 ERA in 1994. Early win, of course, you remember this in 1960. Early win at a 7.85 the year after winning the Cy Young in his first 5 starts. CC Sabathia. Remember CC had some issues? CC Sabathia had a 10.13. That's not the worst, because the worst ever for a reigning Cy Young Award winner is Blake Snell through the first 5 starts at 10.42.
How many innings he pitched yesterday? Do you know?
He went 4.
4 innings.
Snell has 22 earned runs in 5 starts this season. Wow, that is bad. That is bad. How do you explain that?
Well, he tried to. They asked him about spring training last night, and he gave like a minute answer about how I didn't have big league spring training. That's because you're holding out for money.
Yeah.
The same thing we said about some of the other, another one of the Boris guys in Jordan Montgomery, who he pitches tonight, right?
No, he's getting his World Series ring tonight. All right, let's go to Jordan Montgomery. We're doing our Memorial Day check-in on the Big Four that we talked about. The four, not the 4 horsemen, the 4 Boris clients. Jordan Montgomery, how has he been? 3-2 with a 4.69 ERA. 40 1/3 innings and only 24 strikeouts. Do you think teams are bummed they didn't give him a long? So obviously, I didn't need to ask the question. Teams aren't bummed that they didn't give Blake Snell the long-term deal. Do you think anyone's bummed that they didn't give Jordan Montgomery the long-term deal he was looking for?
No. I expect him to be better, to be honest. I expect him to be better this year than Blake Snell, but neither one of them have been that great. I guess
no, Snell's been awful, and
Montgomery's been better than Snell. He's been on
4.69
compared to 10.4. I mean, neither of them are good, but
you're talking about guys that thought that they were getting. Snell was hoping for over 200 million
and 150 plus.
Montgomery probably was shooting for over 100 million. You've got a 4.69. You're not punching anybody out when everybody else is striking out. All righty, the check-in. Let's go to our old buddy Matt Chapman, who wanted over 200 million Memorial Day check-in. Boris Big Four. Chapman right now, 8 home runs, 27 RBIs, hitting 236. Numbers for him that matter: OPS 724. OPS plus 100 is what?
League average.
He's at 111. Has Matt Chapman played at a $200 million contract clip?
I'm going to go with no.
Not even close. The strikeouts continue to be a major problem. 54 games, 54 strikeouts.
That is concerning, but that's where he's been the last couple of years.
Okay. So we're all 3 so far of the Big Four not worth the money they even were dreaming about.
Yeah.
So none of them have said, see, you guys really screwed up. All these teams that sat back and waited and said, we're not paying you the big money. We're going to sign you for basically a 1-year deal. They all look smart, even though they're not getting the production. Cody Bellinger, a 767 OPS, 7 home runs, 23 RBIs, hitting 253, an OPS plus of 117.
Yeah, after the year he had last year.
He's been hurt, and he's only been able to play in 40 games.
Well, you wanted all that money, and now you can't stay on the field after you got paid. What was his deal again?
3 years. But it's like
70 or 80 million, wasn't it?
It's an opt-out. It's a 1 year.
They're all these deals are 1 year.
Is Cody Bellinger is a 767 OPS in 40 games? He's been hurt. A 117 OPS plus, 0 stolen bases, hasn't really walked, hasn't really hit, few home runs. Is that worth $200 million that he thought he was going to get? Remember, these guys all thought they were getting huge money. Huge.
The only thing I will say, the only argument you can bring up is that the league OPS is down. I think the league OPS right now is 699. It's like, but
I don't care what the league OPS is. You wanted $200 million.
Yeah. None of these guys are living up to it.
Boris said all 4 of these guys were franchise-changing players. And not one of them is having you couldn't justify any of them even making the all-star team, let alone being franchise-changing.
No, none of them were sniffing the all-star team.
So, once again, biggest stories of the offseason, Memorial Day check-in, Yankee moves Juan Soto up, thumbs up. Towny, Glasnow, Yamamoto, I'll give them thumbs up. Craig Counsell, Cubs so far, going to be thumbs down. The Boris 4 that took so much of our attention, thumbs down. Anything else you want to think of?
I'm trying to think real quick if there was any other big moves that happened in the offseason, but no.
Or how about this? With the Boris 4, the market was right.
Yeah.
They were going against the market. They wanted to buck the market, but the market ended up being right. We're not paying you long term. We're not paying you big money. We'll give you basically up front. And think about it. If they have bad years, all the options, they get picked up, and you got these guys for another year, hopefully with a spring training. And but the financial commitment is not there. Anything else you got? Do you have any of your own?
I mean, no, because a lot of the ones, like, I think off the top of my head were, like, not major. Like, the Royals spending the most money in the American League. Most people didn't know
been thumbs up. That's a big story.
Thumbs up. Seth Lugo's been awesome.
Thumbs
Walker's
up.
been good. The guys they brought in have been good. Dylan Cease actually hasn't been bad for the Padres. That would happen towards the end of the offseason. But the only one I can really think of right now was the Royals, because they spent all the money that no one knew about until that graphic came out like last week or 2 weeks ago. It said that the Royals have spent the most money in the American League in the offseason.
I thought you loved Giolito going to the Red Sox.
Well, he got hurt. That wasn't great.
How about the Mariners not spending on offense?
Also not great. So I have a negative run differential. The whole division does. Our pitching's been great, though. But
Stephen Vogt in Cleveland. That
could
was
be the
a big
manager of the
story.
year.
Stephen Vogt. A thing to play tomorrow, remind me, on coaching. Great stuff today by we have a thing on coaching. It doesn't get talked about enough. And Pedro Gafal, keep doing what you're doing with Chicago White Sox. Don't let these ex-players on TV, they don't like any criticism whatsoever. Even if you're a bad team, your butt better show up every day and play hard. You know, it is amazing how we allow people. You don't think we show? You think life's been roses for us? No, we show up and work hard every day. Why? Because that's professionalism. That's our job. And if your own manager's having to call you out, probably knew there was a little partying going on. Really knew some stuff was going on. Called him out. You're rightfully so. I don't care what the payroll is. Your asses better show up and play hard every day. All right, coming up next. Wait, we want to thank Paul Hembekides, Brian Anderson, Johnny D. Am I missing anybody?
No, that's it.
Great show today. Obviously, an early show. A's and the Rays from the Trop next, right here on A's Cast and the A's Radio Network. This is Chris Townsend. I'm proud to announce our year 2 partnership with Link Soul. They've changed my wardrobe, and they can do the same for you. And right now, their spring collection is fabulous. Natural fabrics and versatile styles, perfect for this time of the year. And they want to introduce their performance line for golf, premium for on-course apparel design, and to keep you cool and dry. Check it all out, linksoul.com. That's linksoul.com. Remember, look good, play good.
Where does one community end and the next begin? Across the railroad tracks? On the other side of the river? Is it between the east side and the west side? At Comerica Bank, we believe it's all one community, and we're all part of it. That's why Comerica has invested over $20 million for affordable housing, financial education, and workforce development in lower-income communities. Because when we raise expectations for everyone, we all rise. Member FDIC, Equal Opportunity Lender.
Being a Chevron car these days has been quite the adventure. Miami to Seattle, ocean to ocean. I've stopped at so many states and collected so many bumper stickers. Sometimes I feel like a moving passport book. It's just so great what I can do with Chevron with Techron, because it gives me unbeatable mileage and keeps my engine clean. Plus, there are so many chevrons along the way. Now the only thing I'm worried about is where to go next and where to put all my new bumper stickers. Chevron with Techron, fueled by possibility.
This has been a presentation of the Oakland Athletics.